Welcome comrades, back to another Minecraft survival video. My name is Cobblestone. Today we shall be finalizing the build. Perhaps not finalizing it in its entirety, but at least coming to a point where no longer will my episodes continue to be solely dedicated to this castle, as the last two episodes have, as will this one be. I'm kind of satisfied for the most part with the exterior. If you haven't seen what that looks like, please check out the last video, otherwise it'll loosely be explored in this one as well. And now I want to get started on the floor and the interior, piece by piece. I've made friends in here. There was a chicken here earlier and they continue to lay eggs, and then I'm throwing the eggs around and they seem to be duplicating. There is another one at some indefinable area in this castle. Perhaps I will encounter it soon. But I was really giving it a lot of thought as to what I wanted the floor to be. What color? I have spruce wood, obviously. That would be kind of the safest option I've available to me, because I think it complements well the stone, and it's a block color that I'm quite familiar with. Stone itself, but I kind of ruled that out quickly as I think I have enough stone as it stands. And then I thought about, the dripstone block, which is like relatively easy to access. And it's also a bit bolder. I think one thing I've been trying to do more recently is to challenge myself with the colors that I'm selecting, because I always go with the safest options for things, as opposed to being a bit bolder and thinking and stepping outside of my comfort zone to divine certain colors and blocks and patterns and palettes that I otherwise am not familiar with. So I've been trying what this looks like, and I actually part of me is like, there's a little part inside that's screaming at me saying, no, you need to pick a better color than this because this kind of looks bad. Then the other half at the same time is going like, it's not terrible, and I could actually make it work quite well, because on the whole this is a pretty good color. And I want to also, I think I was looking up a website that enables you to see other colors that work in this palette and style, like for the colorway of the dripstone block. And there's also packed mud, which I have here, mud bricks, dripstone of course, and I think it's like a light grey terracotta. So perhaps I'll be able to introduce that as well. I need to go and get terracotta actually in a moment, but for the most part I'm just going to start by really just going to town with what I have at the moment. And this is all of these, and then I'm going to get started with the interior. As we've discussed, or people probably wouldn't remember it, for the love of God, I barely remember it myself, and I was the one who spoke such words. But I want a table here, there are a bunch of other things. I want a library, like a subterranean library, which I'm going to put over there, kind of behind, as you walk in from this way, which is likely going to be the primary entrance I'll be taking. There'll be a library here, and it would be in the surface of the earth. And I might have an episode or two kind of dedicated to that, because I don't think I'll be doing that today. I'll get most of the interior done, but probably not all of it, because it'll be quite a substantive process. But we'll see however much I can do. And the rest of it, that can be subject to the whims of whenever I have enough energy to continue to go with this. As some of these larger projects I get a bit distracted on, not to say that this is like the most significant project ever. I'm kind of making it out to be like I'm designing an entire city in a survival world, when in reality all I'm doing is like quite a modest castle, by accounts of what other people are producing in the new language and age of Minecraft building on YouTube, which definitely conforms to the idea of Minecraft buildflation. It's a real thing. I don't have to be the first person to define it or identify it. Probably someone else has said it at this point, but there seems to be a lot of inflation as far as stuff on the internet is concerned these days. And I think it's a good thing, by way of what's happening in Minecraft building, because we are seeing so many incredible builders out there doing some really cool stuff, where 5-6 years ago you just wouldn't have the same diversity and attention that you do today. And I actually must say I really like this. I'm going to be incorporating quite a bit of carpet, and most of the floor is going to be covered, and I plan to decorate this quite a bit, but it kind of gives it an interesting vibe. I don't know if I really like this stone mud brick so much. Kind of gives me this idea like this is a thatched floorboard. So I'm going to be ripping up the mud bricks, which is unfortunate because I created quite a few mud bricks, and I'm also going to have to go and get some more mud myself. That's not to worry, it's not a big issue. And my shovel and my pickaxe are both almost broken, which is kind of funny. I also have a Fortune 3 pickaxe, which is fantastic as I didn't have one of those before, and then I worked really hard to get my pickaxes, etc. up to scratch. And I also have these leggings now. This is chest plate, of course, so I feel sufficiently armored and protected. I think I'm going to have to go back and do a bit of a mission to collect more blocks. Oh boy, that's fantastic. Oh man, I didn't even... What are you doing there? I really should have turned to run. That's just wonderful. I just love it when a creeper is spawn camping the door. Probably knew that I was coming out there, and this castle provided... Like, you would think that the stone would be capable of subduing the blast, but barely seemed to do that at all. Anyway, hopefully I can put this back together in the way that I remember it to have been, and the door was still with me, thankfully. Or perhaps I had that door in my inventory already. I think, yeah, I'll have enough. Even though spruce planks are something... spruce trapdoors are quite expensive. And I don't want to be wasting them on creepers needlessly. Probably serves me right as well for going out at night. I seem to go out a lot at night. I'm nocturnal, rather than sleeping. And I also don't have the stairs. I had stairs there before. It's just frustrating me. I'm not going to let that one slide. I'm going to have to quickly clean it up now, for fear that I'll never clean it if I don't do it while it's fresh on my mind. Okay, here we go. I'm running low on everything, but I'm kind of keeping good spirits, keeping my spirits alive. I think it was here I had it. And yeah, I also discussed installing this new weather mod, which kind of changes the weather, and now I have this like fog that's clinging to the horizon, to the ground, which is interesting. I actually kind of like it. I think it's a nice feature, and it really only happens when it's raining. If it's not raining, oh man, there are a lot of mobs. I don't have my horse. I left it in the castle. Which I haven't seen the horse in a while. Maybe it's wandered off somewhere. I think it's in the castle somewhere. If not, then I'll track it down. No doubt. Or maybe it might be back here. In fact, I need a more expeditious way of getting between this base and the castle. I'm thinking of building a railway system, but then at the same time, it might be worth it just to wait until I get the elytra, and that will be an upgrade in itself. I won't ever have to worry about traveling around anywhere ever again, because I'll just have the elytra to access. And that takes you from point A to point B very quickly. The elytra kind of defeats transport in the game itself. It just becomes the primary form of transport. All you need are rockets and elytra. And you'll find yourself being able to get anywhere in any amount of time. Now, what was I doing? I think I'm looking for clay, if I have any. Packed mud. That's something that I do need. There's 2 blocks of packed mud. There's no clay here. I might have to just go out and do it. There's terracotta. Actually, that's what I want, terracotta. I think in order to do this, I'm going to very loosely enchant 2 additional tools. I'm thinking quite conservatively about how I'm going to divvy out each of these things. And yeah, I like the look of that. Unbreaking. Okay, I would have appreciated an efficiency on there. A fortune shovel. Yeah, that's not really my thing, a fortune shovel. Hopefully my shovel should last long enough. I'm going to put this away. In here, yeah, it's just stuff so I can get digging once more. Spend most of my time digging. If I'm not building, then I'm digging so that I can build. It's a ruthless cycle. And the fog hasn't disappeared, despite the rain clearing, which is funny. Huh. I thought it should clear, but it hasn't on this occasion. That's fine. It's not to worry. I haven't harvested my wheat in quite a long time. It's a bit of a nuisance, I must admit. I don't really like harvesting wheat. I spend enough time as it is planting all this stuff, and then you're kind of having to sit there for a long time, putting it back. And then it also looks kind of ugly as you're watching it regrow. Anyway, I'm complaining about stuff that doesn't deserve complaints. Much of the time when I'm playing Minecraft, what I'm doing is just complaining about playing the game most basically at a superficial level. It's like, this is the bread and butter of Minecraft. This is why we play the game of Minecraft. It's to do these menial tasks. It's part of the experience. It's what makes the game so fantastic. And that is a very full chest. I guess I'm going to put some away in here. I don't really know why I'm accumulating so many seeds and hanging on to it as though it serves some important function, which it really doesn't. I suppose if I got to the point where I'm making a massive industrial farm, which I will do at some point, then it will become increasingly important to have enough seeds. And what I mean by that is just like fields and fields of seeds going off in all sorts of directions. But I haven't gotten there yet. So we'll see what happens. And there is my spruce forest that is thriving. Now it is time for me to go off and source a bit of clay so I can get some terracotta going. I'm just trying to think if there's another block that I need for the floor. Because then I can get, once I have that, then I can get started on everything else. I think I'll need sugarcane. That'll be something else that'll come in a bit of use for my what are emerging as quite ambitious plans for the interior of this castle. It's not going to be any castle, it's going to be a very special castle. And I have come to actually really enjoy interiors. It's a bit of a skeptical and hot button issue in the building community, particularly people who like to build at scale and build cities and towns and villages and these very large sort of attractive items, is that they never really get around to doing the interior because you can get away with it for the most part. It looks quite attractive at a superficial level when you're filming your city and or whatever your build is, you're showcasing it online, and you don't have to think too hard about going the extra distance in order to position something that has an interior. Oh, these are the sort of deposits that I'm after. Substantial amount of clay just sitting there on the surface of the earth. So abundant, so plentiful, so accessible at the same time. And this is a part of my world, actually, that I don't often come to. I think it wasn't until like one of the very first episodes in this series that I was out here by this village, which kind of takes me back to the simpler times. Oh, the simpler times like 1 month ago. Whoa, this guy is damaged. He looks terrible. What has he been doing? He's truly been in the trenches. This is an impressive village, actually. I can't even remember. I think I did raid this place. Well, I came through and I looted all the chests, pillaged anything and everything that's important. But I'm going to just do a once-over to ensure, because I feel like these guys will be rich. From memory, the village that I did take from had barely anything in it. Yeah, see, I think I came through here. These kind of look important. These lecterns, yeah, so I'm going to take those as well. Really take everything, leave no witnesses. No, I'm leaving witnesses, at least on this occasion. But I don't think they're the sort of people that they have protecting this place by way of the iron golems will be long for this world by the looks of things. So they're struggling a bit, and if I had any iron, I could help repair it, but for whatever reason, I didn't bring iron. I'm not sure why. I guess I must have used it up on something. Anyway, I'll be back here. Hopefully by that time as well that the iron golem will also not be dead. So I'll be able to repair him, and none of the villagers will be deceased. That would be a most frustrating outcome for me, because I might need to try and transfer those people over through this mountain and back. I intended on having the villagers actually live in the castle. I think that's a suitable place to keep them, while it's not like a villager trading hall. I think for the moment at least, until I can like relocate them or find a way to like what to do with them, I think it's kind of the most appropriate place. And it's close to my village as well, without actually being directly in the village, because I know what a nuisance that they are, and it would drive me insane if I had those neighbors coming in and out, slamming doors, making noise, always triggering raids, all those sorts of things. Here is the castle, a new angle, perhaps from the back. What is this? I think I might have built that one time to get my horse across. Yeah, I think I have enough clay by this point. I don't have that much, but it should be enough at least to fill out the floor of my interior by smelting a bit of terracotta down. And then a surplus for next time, or whatever other build that I have planned in the wheelhouse. I'm just going to go directly back into here, go straight to the source as opposed to running back home needlessly. And I don't mind that. I think I want to do a bit more on that entrance so that I kind of, well, there's a mob in here. You should not be here. This is not your place, not your house. I want to light up this corner, but I also don't want to like light it up too much, as I want to keep this place a bit moody, create an ambient, or a sort of, what would be the best word to use to describe it? Like a sense of mystery, almost, as though like something happened in the castle and the inhabitants aren't here as they used to be. And so you kind of get this uneasy feeling when you're walking around. You're wondering whether or not something happened. Because Minecraft's in like castles are inherently empty, and they already have that ambient to them, purely because the game is completely deplete of any other characters, unless you're playing on a multiplayer world. But if you're a serious builder, then chances are you're building in a single player setting or a creative setting. Anywho, I'm going to get smelting on this, and then we will make some progress on the flooring. Well, I've had a change of heart. I've been looking here at the floor that I've created, and I think for a castle, it just looks a bit too haphazard. There's no design to it, and it looks as though this floorboard has been weathered, or that it's been abandoned or misused, or it's not the floor to a castle at all, but I don't know, it just didn't strike me with the right degree of comfort. Principled pattern, so I'm going to actually rip it up in its entirety. I'm also going to sit Nietzsche as I brought him over here. I think that this castle should remain at least slightly guarded. At the moment, there's not a single person here, not a single soul creature to defend it from whomever should attempt to overtake this great palace. But you are going to annoy me, no doubt, in the process of ripping up the carpet. So I've kind of started here. It's going to have a lot more granite in it, and also a little bit less of the dripstone block. But magically, I'm going to finish it with the snap of a finger. Well, I snapped my fingers, and what do you know? The floorboard has now been laid. There are still some minor issues that I have with it that will have to be remedied as I go along, including this part here. I kept trying for the life of me to work out how exactly to integrate this spruce flooring, which I wanted as you walk in the castle from this entrance, this sort of back entrance out this way, and then how that meets with the granite floor. I just couldn't reconcile having the flooring that looked really thatched and well worn, and it didn't really give the theme and meet the theme of having a castle, because just how strewn it all was. And it looked better, in my opinion, to introduce a pattern with the dripstone block, the polished granite, and then granite itself. And I think this looks a bit better. It's an improvement upon what I had before. Flooring remains one of those difficult things where it takes a lot of time to get it to the point where you're happy, because you have to try and marry it up with the ceiling and the walls and all come together in a perfect harmony. I made a bit of progress as well, in typical fashion of this channel, where I make progress on stuff and I don't record any of it. But this is the library that I had in mind, and there's a lot more work for me to do. I might even replace that wall there, which I did put with stone, with more books, because you can see it from up here and it looks like this isn't a library at all. Whereas if you come further down, then you come to see that, oh, okay, yeah, this is intended to be a library. And then, of course, at the bottom there, I haven't finished digging that out, and it's not even lit up, so there are creepers. And actually, while I was just off camera then, I heard an explosion somewhere around here, and I just, like, ran around the castle. I couldn't see where it was. I'm not going to go outside because it's nighttime now, and these doors are so often, like, camped by mobs. There are always creepers out here. It's ridiculous. So as soon as you walk out, they just explode. It's happened to me twice already. And then every time I go out there, I look around the corner and see a creeper. So I'm quite weary of potentially having my entire entrance ruined. And Nietzsche and I are just sitting here in the castle, confused and timid, slightly afraid as to what that explosion was that came from nowhere. Anywho, in the meantime, I'm going to get started on the table. I'm going to get started on the interior, and I figured that I'm going to do a bit of it on camera because I haven't done so much so far. Again, I haven't exactly mapped it out neatly into my head how I want everything to look in this interior. This is a bit of a weird build almost. While I wanted this castle to be very magnificent and large and impressive, actually this is not how I wanted to do it. While I wanted that to be the case, I've kind of come to realize that I didn't build it big enough, even as big as I did build it, and how enthusiastic I was for its size and how long it's taken me to get it to this point. It's kind of still lacking for size, and I'll give you all a tour of what else is happening around the upstairs areas. But for the most part, I'm going to have to sacrifice a little bit on certain elements in order to fit it all in and try and make sense of it. The build itself as well. So there's going to be a table in the same room that there are going to be other things. I might even have a throne, even though I don't really intend it to be one of those castles where there's like meant to be a king presiding over everyone. It's not really the sense and the atmosphere that I was seeking to achieve. But who knows? Who knows? We'll just have to see what happens. And I think that is good. That is sufficient. And then I'm going to put a door at the end. Oh boy, actually, I can't do that. Do I have a fence? I'll have to go and get a fence. Yeah, it's a bit weird. I could have had the table as just like one long streamlined block, but I decided that I wanted it to be too wide, as then it kind of fits into the symmetry of this area. There'd be like a one extra block dead space on one of the sides if I only had it. One block of width, and we need gates. So often when you're building, you're going back and forth between rooms and your materials. Actually, that's making a fence there. What I want is a gate. I'm going to get a couple of them. Actually, I'm just going to get all of them, and I don't even know if that will be enough. But we shall wait and see, shan't we? Shan't we wait and see? I also need a crafting table, which I'm going to move into that room, because it's a bit ridiculous that I'm going back and forth. Here we go. There's a crafting table down there, I think. There it is. But that's no use to us now. Actually, 4 should be enough. I don't know if you really see this from that angle. So, yeah. Yeah, I think that looks fine. I think that looks fine. And then I wanted a bunch of doors. So 6 in total. Should be good. Boom. Boom. And then I wonder if I can put banners on the backs of these doors, because that was the intention. And there's no heads of table. There are no heads of table, which is weird, because you'd expect someone important to be sitting up this end, or vice versa down that end. This is quite a comfortable, egalitarian atmosphere where you have 6 equals merely sitting at a table with each other. And perhaps this would be like the family of the castle or whomever, and this would be the dining area. That is an interesting block that I left up there. I must have forgot to fill that in. Kind of thinking, like, does that have a purpose or anything? I don't think so. And I actually don't mind what I was able to do with the roof. It really did take quite a lot of workshopping in order to get it to this point. And yeah, as I said, I'll give the tour in a moment. But here we go. I need to get some candles, because that is something that I do not have at the moment, and that'll kind of bring it together by being able to make a candelabra of sorts. And then of course I need like signs, little pieces of food. Oh boy, there's an enderman. Yeah, there are a lot of endermen around here, weirdly. They just keep coming in and placing blocks down. Like I went outside before and there were just like sand and random grass blocks strewn around the neighborhood, and I wasn't really sure what to do with it. I should be able to make a campfire here. Campfires are good because what you can do with it, and yeah, I can make a campfire. I just need more sticks. Campfires are good as you can put them out and then put food onto the campfires themselves, and it gives it a really cool look, as though there is like actively food on the table, and it's very visible because you can put quite a lot of it. I wonder if I can do it with this. I think it's only meats that you can put on. It's a cool little like customized element that the developers added in. I don't even know why. It's not really a feature that you'd expect to see, but I'm not going to complain about it either, as it's quite lovely. And I don't have any suitable meats in these chests, which is a nuisance to say the least. In fact, I don't even have... I wanted to, anyway, that's alright. That is fine. I wanted to also get some bricks so that I could start making pots and light those around the place. I might make a trip back home, unless it's nighttime. No, it's daytime and there are no creepers out here. See, there's a piece of sand there. What I wanted was flower pots that I could decorate the castle with, as there are a few areas that I thought looked a bit underdone. So that will be something on the agenda. I think I have enough clay that I'd collected from earlier to be able to put it towards that. And there was a fire in this forest. Mass deforestation, unfortunately. I'll come through and clean that up soon. But I actually don't mind it because it's a very foresty area. And it's nice to have small, like, clearing or reprieve as you're making your way through that forest. Oh boy. This enderman is following me. He's doggedly in pursuit. That's really quite strange. I think it is the same enderman because he's carrying the same block, though grass is a common block for an enderman to carry. And I also need to collect a lot of leather, as we will be making quite a few books. Books are something that are high on the agenda with the library coming in. There are bricks. I'm going to take those bricks with me. This might be a time where I just collect a bunch of different things and put it in my inventory so I can make my way back there. That's already full, but that's okay. Ominous banner. I need wool. There should be wool in here somewhere. I'm going to take this with me. And then red dye, because that is necessary for the banner. I haven't like worked out what the design for the castle itself is going to be, like what the clan, that sort of whoever resides in that castle, what they represent and identify with, as I think that will come to be not like necessarily an important element of the castle, but something interesting, and it'll add a bit of intrigue to the castle itself. That really is full, which is annoying. I'm going to put that out. And is there something else I can put back? 2 crafting tables, not sure if that's entirely necessary. That's okay. Shield goes on. Should have emptied my inventory before I came back here. I also want some of these. I'm not one for putting too much foliage and greenery in a castle and overdoing it in certain builds. I think in houses and something like this, it looks quite nice, because I wanted to retain a bit of like a militaristic element to it, and as though it's like a cold castle that has this feeling of these people are interested in defense and security, and it's not like they're spending time to like decorate things and make it look all pretty. And I'll use a certain lose a certain element of that if I'm making it all about like having pretty little plants, pot plants, which kind of contradicts what I said earlier about having flower pots. But used sparingly and very deliberately. And here we go, going to town on all these animals. So I have plenty of meats now. I have plenty of meats. Collecting leather quite slowly, which is a nuisance, but that's fine. 22, that should be enough to make more bookshelves, but it will not be enough globally for the ambitions that I have for how big I actually want this library to be. Libraries are so cool, but they're very expensive in Minecraft. And it's going to take a significant effort on my behalf to get it to that point. I have plenty of sugarcane working away and a farm over there. I also need a cow farm. I intend to deport cows from this base, or import them, I suppose. I think you'd say import, export in the context of livestock. They're not really citizens or non-citizens in the context of deporting things, which is very topical in the world at the moment, unfortunately. It's a very topical thing on people's minds, and it shouldn't be because it is not something to emphasize at all, in my opinion. Anywho, getting off topic now. I'm going to make my way back. I think I have everything that I wanted. Not sure. I could also think about how I'm going to go and collect more candles, as I'm running very low. I don't even think I have any more. I put them all towards my dungeon, and the beehive that I have is quite a ways away from here, even though I do have a silk touch pickaxe, which would enable me to move it. There are just so many ongoing projects at the moment, and this is another entrance that I have so you can see more obviously what is intended with this. And why am I floating? That's really weird. It's because I'm standing on a fence beneath. Yeah, I am, that's why. I was just wondering, why am I going up into the air? And you can see there's a little gap between. I'm levitating, there's a gap between the floor and me. Oh, well, and there's still an Enderman here, which makes me think that the Enderman from before was not in fact this Enderman. They're two different Endermen, but I want to try and get this guy out, because he shouldn't be here. I'm going to take him on. Take him on in battle. Where'd he go? He's hiding. He's flaccid. I think he's afraid of me. He's signaled his resolve not to fight me in combat unless he's going to make a sneak attack. And maybe you can't put cooked meat onto these. That was not something that I knew, which is a great frustration, as I want to put meat onto that. So I brought all this meat over here for no valid reason at all. That's okay. That is okay, because I'm sure that meat will come in handy sometime into the future, and it shall serve, at the very least, as sustenance for me to keep going in this world. I don't think I could put carrots there either, as you can't cook carrots. I'm going to put that in, and then I'm going to do this. And books. Books. I'm a big proponent of learning and becoming a lifelong learner in a variety of ways, and central to that is reading and cultivating a library, both in your personal world and your Minecraft world. And that's not to say that you gain all that much from cultivating a library, building a library in Minecraft, as it's pretty useless. There's no meaning or knowledge derived from visual and virtual books that serve no purpose whatsoever. But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It's the illusion of knowledge that is often more important than the knowledge itself, unfortunately. Now, let us continue bone mealing this land. So what I'm looking for is to try and get more red dye rather than like building up the grass in the area, though I do think it looks very bare, the landscape does. So I'm happy to do this, but it is also for the practical purpose of trying to get more roses. And if not, then I could just go look around out here. Yeah, what I intended to do was finish most of the interior in this episode, and unfortunately that hasn't happened because I've been quite distracted. And every time I do go to film, I end up doing stuff like this, which is collecting red dye, and I'm collecting it quite unsuccessfully now, rather than what I should be doing, which is really like knuckling down and getting this interior complete, even though this is one element of the interior, but It's always these side projects that just end up taking up so much of your time. And all the little tasks that are involved in survival of getting the necessary blocks so that you can get out, please, sir. Please. I just want to grow flowers and become a gardener, and yet I have to face off these terrible mobs. Hope this guy gives me a bit of golden armor at the end of it, because I do need quite a bit of armor. I intend to put armor stands all around the castle in order to offset any ideas that we are a passive castle. You'll see like the many armor sets, and then you'll immediately be struck with just how militant we really are around here, and that we mean business. That's what we mean at this castle. While we do have fancy halls and tables and libraries and all sorts of other stuff, at our molten heart, what we stand for is military expansion, conquest, and being the greatest foe this world has ever known. Those are some of the values that I wish to project and represent with the castle, and that's partly why that I've laboured so hard in what I should put as my banner for the castle, as I want it to find a way to represent those as accurately as possible. And yes, I know now that I intended to get this red dye so I could put it on the back of these tables, but I also wanted to see what it would look like if I had a big rug in the center of this place. And I actually like it. I actually do like it. So that's something that I will be doing, not just yet, but soon enough. And how does one make a banner? I'm going to put all of these back, because all of them, there aren't really that many, but as much as possible, because my inventory is getting cluttered. There we go. Now I'm going to go and collect my banner. Dripstone block. You are not necessary, good sir. Banner, banner, banner. I think it's quite expensive and you only get one. Yeah, see? It's annoying. It is that. I knew it was that. But I'll need a lot more sheep, a lot more cows. I'll need a lot more variety of things. And that is hideously ugly, so unfortunately I can't do it as the way that I had hoped I would be able to do it, which is to put it on the very back. I think I could do that. Yeah, I'll do that instead. That's just as good, not as good, but nearly as good. It gives it a sort of look as though someone would be sitting comfortably with their back cushioned by this sort of blanket slash cushion itself. It's not merely a banner, it serves a very purpose of comfort. And of course we need to decorate this more. Maybe I'll even put one thing I used to do when I would have these tables is heavy weighted pressure plate, because in some ways it looks like a plate itself, and whoa, it gives that little pop of white. I'm going to have a couple more of these. People have plates, that is correct. They're eating on plates. You don't want to overdo it. You don't want to overdo anything, and you don't have the room either to give it a really standardized look as though every single person has a plate, as I think that would just look slightly off. But I've gotten it to a point now where I'm almost happy. It just needs more decoration. I think I'm happy to retire this video. I'm going to do it from the library. This hasn't been a particularly long one, and we are languishing on making progress. But progress will be made. You, my bureaucratic overlords, are probably thinking of cracking the whip down upon me and getting me to work harder on this interior. But yeah, I'm happy with this table. Things are going to come together. I might do a bit of work off camera in order to collect all of the resources, which is a lot of iron, so I can have those armor stands as I intended, and then do a bunch of other things to uplift this room. But I thank you all, comrades, for watching. As I said, I'm going to finish it from the library. I hope to see you all in the next one. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.